Philip had been a garbage man for years, but he had never seen anything like it. What kind of creature is that? Only when his legs began to move slowly did he know he was alive. Philip bounces in horror. But the creature didn't care. He focused on only one particular trash can and desperately tried to get into it. But why? Philip knew he had to do something. However, he had no idea what consequences his actions might have. Before we start, can we get this video to 1,000 likes? Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. When the strange creature was finally snatched from the trash, it seemed that Philip could finally breathe again. It was the strangest day he had at work. And it was getting weirder. Now that he finally knew what a creature was, it was time to solve the second mystery. Ever since Philip saw him, he's been trying to get into a specific trash can. What the hell was in the trash he wanted so much? One of these puzzles could be solved immediately, and Philip pulled back the lid of the trash can. His jaw dropped when he saw its contents. But what was in the trash? What kind of strange creature was it, and what was it doing here? Philip Johnston worked as a garbage man for almost 15 years. It wasn't exactly his dream job, but he was glad he could support his family. But there were days when he longed for a more varied life. Little did he know that his dream would come true. There was not much diversity in Philip's profession. Week after week, they traveled on the same routes and collected garbage in residential areas. There weren't many that would surprise him. It almost reassured Philip that he didn't have to worry about what might happen overnight. But that was all to change. Philip knew almost every house, pet, and occupant on his usual journey. Although he didn't pay attention, he noticed a new car or house for sale. But one morning, Philip encountered something he had never seen before. He couldn't believe his luck. Philip and his crew left early in the morning, picking up trash in a pleasant neighborhood on the outskirts of town. Usually, people leave the cans the night before so as not to wake up and beat up the garbage truck. It was getting dark when Philip accidentally looked at someone's lawn. Something was moving in the grass. Philip stopped what he was doing and went out onto the lawn to get a better look. He crouched down and saw what looked like a large stone, slowly moving grass. He was afraid to get too close if it was dangerous. Was it an animal? Philip called his co-workers to take a look. Neither of them knew what the creature could be. He was alive, of course, but they couldn't see him across the grass. They made some photos and videos of it later. But when they tried to move into another house, Philip refused. He needed to know the truth. The creature didn't move fast, and Philip didn't want to risk hurting him if she tried to hurry. He was heading for a more open space, where he hoped he could see better. His friends were a little upset by the delay, but they were ready to wait. Philip was an exemplary worker most of the day. But for some reason, he just couldn't get rid of it. Eventually, the creature began to emerge from the thicker part of the lawn. What Philip initially thought was a stone turned out to be a shell. He couldn't see well on his feet, but they were almost like claws. What made such a bizarre animal in a residential area? After examining the creature, he was sure it was a crab. But what was he doing so far from the beach? Even in Central America, where there were many springs nearby, there would be no reason for a crab to venture so far inland. Philip began to investigate what the crab might be. He finally had the answer. It was a coconut crab. According to Philip's research, they were common in the coastal areas of Africa and Asia. This confused him even more about why the random crab was walking on someone's lawn. He tried to ask his co-workers for opinions, but their answers surprised him. Philip's co-workers wanted to leave the crab and continue the search. They had already wasted a lot of time and had to hurry to meet the schedule. Philip didn't want to be left behind, but he couldn't just leave the crab. Why was he there? Where was it? They spent so much time discussing the schedule that neither of them noticed the crab approaching the bins. He seemed to be heading for something in a straight line. Philip watched him approach. It was almost as if the crab wanted something in one of the cans that the wind overturned. The crab completely ignored Philip and his companions as he crept up. He walked over to one of the cans and began to scratch at the side with his claw. He seemed to want a can of something. Filip didn't know if the crab was just hungry or what to do now. He was afraid that if he left, the crab would die. Filip decides to call animal control to see if the crab can be picked up or to recommend a place to take it. At first, the woman who picked up the phone didn't even believe that a stranger crab was hanging around. But Filip was determined to convince her of the crab. The woman thought Filip was wrong about the crab type. He took a picture and sent her to prove that the crab was real. She was shocked and immediately sent a worker for the crab. After solving one problem, Filip had to solve another, the schedule. Filip's co-workers decided to move on without him as he waited for the arrival of the animal control. They wandered around and then returned for him. Filip knew it would probably be silly to run into trouble at work, but he couldn't help it. As he looked down at the creature, the crab began to move again. Filip approached the crab, but didn't seem to notice his presence. He was so obsessed with an inverted trash can. Filip reached out and touched him several times. The crab did not respond at all. Filip wondered if he should open the lid of the can even further to see what was inside. What can be so interesting for a crab? Although Filip wondered what was in the trash, he was afraid to get his fingers so close to the crab claws. If he was scared enough to attack, there was no one to help him. So he waited, thinking animal control would come soon. Little did he know that what was in the can shock him to the bone. Filip's meeting with the animal control lasted about 13 minutes. Their van was full of traps and protective gear. They even had large networks. The workers were captivated by the crab and wanted to know more about how Filip saw him in the tall grass. But the most interesting thing for them was a determined attempt to get the crab into the trash